The dry brush technique can be a little tricky to get the hang of. And I'm going to do it in this shape right here where I have already applied a light flat wash of red orange. Now, red orange is made up of yellow and red with a little bit more red pigment in it. So I have my yellow, my orange, and my red in a row, and those are the colors I'm going to use to dry brush on top of this. Dry brush creates a sense of texture to a piece. And because yellow is my lightest pigment, I'm going to start there. And what I'm doing is putting pigment in the brush, but now I want to dry it off just as it sounds. And I'm going to spread the bristles apart so that they'll definitely give me texture. And then I hold my brush over the surface and drag it across. Now with the yellow pigment on top of this red orange, it's not quite as noticeable, but I still get a little bit of variation and texture to the color. It's going to be more noticeable when I use my darker colors, but I think you can see that variation. So I'm going to clean the yellow out of the brush, dry it off, grab some of this orange pigment, dry it off again. Spreading the bristles helps because I can feel if there's much moisture in there, and I don't want there to be a lot of moisture in the brush. So I've got that spread and just lightly drag it across the top. I think you'll probably see these marks a little bit more. They almost look like little hairs. You don't really need to add more pigment to the brush, but separating the bristles with my fingertips helps to get that appearance of the dry brush. Techniques work best when applied in layers. So even though this shape demonstrates dry brush, once it's completely dry, I might go in and use yet another technique on top of it. Now I'm going to get a little bit of the red pigment, which is the darkest, dry my brush off, separate those bristles, and add that into this piece as well. Maybe I'll stick to just the edges to make it look like it's got a little volume to it. If an artist was going to do a portrait and show variation of light and dark in hair, the dry brush technique might be one of the techniques that that person uses. And that's dry brush.